War Eagle War Report family, I'm your host, C-Dub. Auburn concludes spring practice with its annual Spring A-Day scrimmage game. The fellas are all here to break that down, to discuss the QB competition, who were the standouts in that game, and much more. So you're in for a treat today. As for now, sit back, get your weight up, because your weekend tailgate begins now.
You are now listening to a War Report Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by University Ace Hardware. It's your boy, I Jones. Be Will, C-Dub, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Report Weekend Tailgate.
Hey, War Eagle. I'm joined by everybody today. Everybody here. Welcome, B. Will. Good to see you. Been busy,
Good to see y'all as well. Yes, I have been.
Good.
Quite a game, man. We ain't here though. We ain't here.
Everyone is here. You guys are here. Welcome to the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by our show sponsor, University Ace Hardware. Guys, if you're in the Auburn area, please be sure to stop by. Show them some love. They're located at 2101 East University Drive. Drop in and let them know that your friends from the War Report sent you. Also, guys, we want to thank you for watching us, whether you're live or on replay. We appreciate you, and we need you to do us a favor, especially if you're on social media. That is, share this video on social media. That is Facebook and Twitter, using hashtag Get Your Weight Up. You can even add us if you're on Twitter. That will be greatly appreciated. Help us grow our community. Now, speaking of community, you need to become a patron. Mike G's to tell you all about that. And what does that mean exactly?
Hey, join our community. If you joined us for our A-Day game day, then you took part in what it's like during the fall when we cover games. Now, a lot of our chats will be patron only after the game. So if you want to get in on that, become a member. There are some things that family business only, helps us keep the trolls out. We didn't do that yesterday for A-Day, but we definitely will during the fall. So you will be able to watch. You just won't be able to chat. If you are not a patron in the fall, become a patron, help support our channel, helps keep us financially viable as well. Content creation takes time. That time equals money, and your money helps us keep this thing going. We are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to raise money for a good cause. So help us help them. Hashtag save all the puppies. Go to the About section of our YouTube channel. Click the donate link. 50 cents on every dollar donated goes to the Lee County Humane Society to help them in their mission to save puppies. This is the good that we've chosen to put back in the world. We appreciate everybody who goes over to do that. Guys, listen, it is giveaway time. Every live stream is giveaway time. So we're giving away an AAU t-shirt. This is brought to you by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. That's our guy, Walt Taylor, in the comments. Give him a digital high five for sponsoring all these giveaways. So hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments. We'll pull at the 1 hour mark, but you got to be here to win. Those are the rules, damn it. And we're not going back on it. So we had to pull like 20 times on the livecast last week because people kept leaving. So stick around at the hour mark. We're going to pull. We appreciate you guys for sticking around for that. Listen, if you don't win, you can just buy a t-shirt. Go to thewarreport.com, hit the catalog button, check out the catalog of War Report gear we have there. It's a great way to support our channel as well. We're on podcast. Every single podcast platform you can think of, the War Report is there. So we're doing podcast exclusive content with the likes of Auburn Memes, our girl Brandy Mack, who is our resident Twitter betting expert, and Allie Davidson joins us from time to time on the War Report podcast to talk about all things Auburn. Check us out on podcast, subscribe, download, leave us a 5-star review. Let them know that the War Report is what you want more of. Special shout out to prizepicks.com. Visit prizepicks.com. Use code REPORT to get a match. Now, listen, the NBA playoffs are here. I know college basketball season is over, but there is plenty of ways to win at Prize Picks right now. And if you're into baseball, you can do that too. They got all kind of props there for you guys to do. So prizepicks.com, Use code report to get 100% match from them. Support us by supporting our sponsors.
Thank you, Mike G. Ike,
Yo.
you were down on the plains.
Yes, indeed.
For a day on yesterday. Mike and I talked pretty extensively yesterday, before, during, and after a day. So a lot of people know our thoughts.
Yeah,
You can
Mike was hating on me in the chat. He blocked my comments on the chat too yesterday. Well, that's because I was hating on y'all in the chat, so it's fair.
Got to keep the trolls out. Can't discriminate.
Hilarious. Ike, give me your initial thoughts of what you observed being down on the plains in a day. Just, you got a chance to sit in on as Harsin met with media as well. Just kind of give your synopsis of yesterday's events.
I think overall it was okay. Like I still don't love the 8-minute quarter format, the running clock. Like it just makes the game go by too quickly. And I also understand that they don't want to be like too crazy on the last practice of the season or of the spring, but I just wish it was a little more football happening. The fan turnout was kind of but it was, let me tell y'all, that wind was really vicious out there, bro. It was, like it was heavy wind, and it was really cold if you were sitting in the shade at all. So the fans who braved that were good ones to be out there for it. Outside of that, from just the perspective of what I saw in the game and with the players, though, everybody seemed like they were in good spirits. They were out there having fun, man. The reaction that you saw when the last touchdown happened, where like the entire offensive team just runs out, like they look like they enjoy playing football with one another. They look like they're having fun. They look like a bunch of kids enjoying a game, and that's a good thing. Coach Harsin was in good spirits. He was making jokes. There was a conversation they had during one of the breaks. Jason Campbell was talking to him, and they were broadcasting it up into the booth. And Harsin was joking with him. I was like, "What? Who is this guy?" But it was really good to see everybody really just having a good time playing football. People were playing hard. It wasn't the cleanest football game ever, but it's practice, so things are going to happen that aren't going to be perfect. But overall, I think it was good. The media situation was a circus. I won't get into too much of that, but it was a lot of craziness going on. But overall, a good experience, man. I enjoyed it.
B, you haven't been on in a while. Just initial thoughts of what you observed. You got to catch it, right?
Yeah, I got to catch it on the replay. Got to watch it, and I mean, I think I'm glad, like Mike has already said, we didn't have to waste our time with a Grant Lloyd, with Shale Garnett. Not to diminish those players as people, but they didn't have a chance to play real snaps for us last year. They weren't going to play real snaps for us. Nobody who played yesterday is completely out of the quarterback race. And I really believe that. Like, Holden Garner could play if injuries happen, he could play. Last year, I don't think we saw TJ Finley get banged up and Grant Lloyd didn't go in that game. So this year, what we saw at A-Day were guys who had a chance to play, who have a chance to play in the fall. And that's the best thing about this A-Day. So that was an improvement. Other than that, I'm like Ike. I don't really care a lot for the 8-minute quarters, especially 8 minutes with running clock second half. Like, listen, man, let's just let us see more game. It's not like you have any guys out there taking 80 snaps this game. Nobody's going to play every snap. So let's see more of the twos. Let's see more of the threes. Let's get more time in there for more snaps. But that would be my only real complaint. I mean, we saw roughly what we expected to see, as far as TJ being kind of the incumbent, kind of sort of. He started games last year. He's the only guy here who started games last year. He looked better than he looked in the 3 games that he started last year. So that's an improvement. I do think his floor looked slightly higher, but also there's the 2-on, 1-off thing with him. Good throw. Wait, who are you throwing to there? Good throw, good pass, a drop, but wait, who are you throwing to there? I am not sure what the cause of that is. I mean, we can watch tape, but until you get the all 22 or you hear it specifically from a coach that sometimes it's like, oh no, well, the wide receiver didn't do what he was supposed to do. So that's why they look like that. He was anticipating out, wide receiver ran in, so it looks like he threw to nobody. So until we can know for sure exactly what happened, I don't want to get too down on him. I just know that what we all want to see, and that thing is a crisp fluidity to offense. We have not seen that yet. I don't think we've seen that here in the Harsin era. No, forget that. We haven't seen that in like the last 4 years of Auburn football. We want to see that. I don't think we were ever going to see that for A-Day. I've got hopes that we can get closer to that based on what we've seen in spring scrimmages, what we've heard in spring scrimmages, and what we've seen in this A-Day. It does look like the quarterbacks are studied up and they're bought in and they're trying and they are aware that there is something to gain and also something to be lost if you show poorly enough. I like that kind of pressure because that wasn't happening last year. Everybody knew what was going to happen last spring going into the last fall, and they kind of played like that, in my opinion. Now it's not. There is something to be gained, and I think that's why we saw some flashes from a little bit of everybody, and that's a positive thing. No matter how anybody wants to look negatively at who got the most snaps, if TJ, you think TJ's won, or you want to see Holden Garner more, we haven't seen Calzada, I understand. But everybody can make an impact with their play in practice and in scrimmages. I think that will continue in the fall, and we are probably 4 weeks of fall camp away from knowing who's going to start for us. And that is the best possible outcome because everybody has to raise their game if they want a chance. And I love that. So I like the game from that perspective. Was it high flying like we wanted to see? Yes and no. You know, we saw some flashes and some stuff. It's like, wow, I like that guy making that cut. You know what I'm saying? I like this guy. I like the way Jordan Ingram ran. Honestly, he didn't have like a super big run, but just physically, he looked the part at running back, and that was refreshing to me. Even though we've got plenty of backs, but
he put on some weight too.
He
in
did.
The offseason.
Like he looks like I gotta look at the roster to see his height. He looks like a 6'1". He's like a big dude, man. But I saw plenty of what I needed to see. Maybe not as much as we could truly take from the offensive line with so many starters out, and that's the only thing. The offensive line looked like it was so at times, but you got 4 guys out who started last year. Of course, it's not going to look like what it's going to look like in the fall. So, you know, TBD on that. But I enjoyed it, man. I like the game.
Well, you talked about the quarterbacks. Let's go ahead and intro that discussion. We have the stats here on how the quarterbacks fared in yesterday's scrimmage. TJ Finley went 11 of 19 for 137 yards and a TD. He was sacked twice. So you can, I know some people want to put an asterisk by that one TD, but it is recorded as a TD in the scrimmage. Robbie Ashford went 12 of 16, 132 yards, was sacked twice. And Holden Garner went 9 of 11 for 71 yards and a score at the end of the game. So, guys, here are the stats. Just I'm gonna go with you, Mike G. What are some of your what is your, you know, you've had a day to kind of think about it. What has been your kind of assessment of where the QB position stands? People have their opinions on who they like, but how do you feel about this QB competition going into the summer? You're muted, by the way.
Yeah, I like what I saw from everybody. I think everybody showed that they can affect the game positively in their own way. Robbie Ashford showed that he can operate from the pocket and, you know, on the run. There were some throws to the sideline where I thought he was running out of bounds, and then he had a quick dump off the from, and I like that play. That's just a playmaker making a play. I thought it showed good chemistry with the tight ends. They got the tight ends involved. Every quarterback got the tight ends involved in the game. So, you know, I thought they played within themselves. You know, as far as Garner's concerned, you know, they went out, they gave him snaps. He looked good. I thought that Garner showed what his potential is going to be when he gets a serious chance to compete for the starting job. I don't think it'll be this year, but I wouldn't be mad to see him vying for a starting spot next in 2023. And hopefully that starts a pipeline of development, actual guys who are being developed at quarterback, so that we can just reach down for the next guy in line and be confident that they're going to meet the minimum viable product needed to play quarterback at Auburn. As far as TJ Finley is concerned, I thought he improved. He improved yesterday. It was weird reading the comments of everybody who literally flips out every time he gets sacked. See, that would have been a sack there. Okay, so who the hell cares? A sack is not always, all of a sudden, a sack is a failure on the quarterback. Literally. All of a sudden, a sack means the quarterback didn't do something right, when before it meant that our offensive line sucked. So I'm not on that train. I think there were a couple times where it was clear he completed a pass to Schenker. He 100% would have been sacked. We played without 4 of our 5 starting offensive linemen in this game.
Yeah.
You know, and we had the 4th best pass protecting unit in the league last year. So I think maybe TJ didn't have I thought he had a good day. He had a drop by Dawson that would have been a touchdown. He had another deep pass to Tank that should have been caught.
Yeah.
There were 3 deep balls that he threw. 4 deep balls that he threw. One should have been a pick, and the other 3, the receivers one was complete, and the other 2 were drops. Last year, those receivers, I felt like toward the end of the season, wouldn't have had a chance. He wasn't giving them a chance to make plays on the ball.
Right.
He was giving the receivers a chance to make plays down the field. I think he's shown he can make the short and intermediate throws. We saw that yesterday. The pass to Cedric up the middle.
That Cedric Jackson pass was beautiful.
It was a dime. It was a dime. Ashford made that pass twice to Capers. One was behind Capers. Capers made a great play. The second was right on the money. Beautiful, a beautiful pass. I put it up there on Twitter. So it was just very interesting. And I think the fact that they didn't send him out after halftime means that they're all but done evaluating TJ. Right? Like, he went out there and did the minimum required of the guy who's in the number 1 spot, and they didn't need to see anymore. What they needed to see was Ashford.
Yeah.
They needed to see Ashford. So they sent Robbie out there, and I think that worked out for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think that worked out. I think if you're TJ, you left A-Day pretty confident about where you stand with this coaching staff based on what you did out there. If you factor out the drops, he went 13 for 19 on the day. It probably has close to 200 yards passing if the Dawson pass isn't dropped.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Like I said, I think we have a competition. I don't think by any stretch that TJ has the job locked up, though. Because if Calzada had went out there yesterday, I don't think Garner gets any snaps. And this game looks very, very different. Mm-hmm. I think it worked out for Robbie Ashford that Calzada, they didn't send Calzada out there.
Right.
Because it would have taken critical information away from the coaches to evaluate Robbie when you have a whole year's worth of tape on Calzada starting in the SEC last year. So, it wasn't the worst thing for Zach that he didn't go out there. I think, again, he's bringing real life experience to the role that you can evaluate, and you're seeing him in practice. So, it was, I don't know, man. I just think nobody did so well that they jumped over the other person. Nobody really set themselves back yesterday. Right. It was, I thought we looked well-rounded and solid. We sent 3 quarterbacks out there that looked competent. Now, we couldn't say that last A-Day.
Right.
Or the A-Day before that.
Yeah.
Or the A-Day before that. We can, how long y'all want to keep playing this game? Yeah. But yeah, I definitely agree with that assessment. B. Will, I'm gonna jump to you. I know your time is a little limited. Stuart wants to know before I get you to chime in even further. How's that newborn, sir?
He is great. You think like I've done this before and it's cool. It's so fun, man. Just a new kid and their face and their personalities, even really early, man. They're already their own person, man. You just see the difference between number 1 and number 2, and it's cool. So I appreciate you asking, Stu.
So to build on what Mike G was basically saying, we are expecting a bit of a competition. I think something to make note of, Mike G, as well, is that Calzada, the learning curve of this offense isn't as steep for Calzada as it is Robbie Ashford, because something Harsin mentioned about Robbie is he's learning a new system. Calzada came from a similar type of a system at A&M. We know they like to run a bit of a pro style there, so the learning curve in terms of the offense isn't as steep for maybe a Robbie. So that's something to factor in as well. But B, your thoughts on kind of where these guys stand with each other. You said you felt in 4 weeks going into the fall, we will be able to determine who the QB position is. How do you feel about where these guys actually stand presently?
The way it looks presently, I think knowing just a little bit about who Brian Harsin is as an offensive guy and what he expects, the person who gets this job is going to have to be able to read, diagnose, and make the right decisions. He's been very consistent in when Bo was here, and we saw the transformation from when he was playing very poorly early and he started playing better as the season went on. Bo got better at that. Reading, diagnosing, making better decisions as the season went on. Now, he didn't make all great decisions later, but TJ Finley maybe has less of a that's a terrible decision and more of a that wasn't the best throw right there at that moment. And the rest of the time, it's like we said, our wide receivers and pass catchers have kind of been letting him down, even back to when he started last year. When he would have some rough throws and he'd have a great one, it's like, dang, why didn't you catch that? We needed you to catch that, guy. Going back to the Birmingham Bowl, there were a couple in that game. I think TJ is in a good position for a few reasons. Number one is the leadership factor. He has been bought in since he got here. These coaches went to get him last year, and he said, fine, I'm on board. I'm going to do what you asked me to do, and I'm going to do it enthusiastically, and I'm not going to be a sourpuss when I don't get what I want. And I think that has really kind of boosted his stock with the coaches, and because of that, you see him getting those opportunities. We know that Harsin has a certain culture that he is a line that he is setting, and he is asking the players to come up to that line. And everybody who has come up to that line and bought in, they have been getting snaps. We asked frequently last year, hey, why is Shed still out there when he's looking bad in the routes he's running and dropping passes? Well, obviously, Shed had the attitude. He was rewarded, and his time on the field yielded definite positive results for him and for us as the season went on. So in a similar fashion, I think TJ has that kind of rapport with the coaches, and that probably has him in the best position. Unlike last year, though, I think all of the quarterbacks know you can't really sourpuss your way into a starting job. And like we saw, Demetrius Davis left, and, that hurt to see, but the attitude, his attitude wasn't what it needed to be competitive, to be a leader. So he's out of there. None of the other quarterbacks here are going to have that problem. So nobody's going to eliminate themselves like they kind of did last year in Didi's case. TJ has the most experience in this offense. I think that has a lot to do with why he's kind of sitting in pole position right now. His floor is going to determine whether or not he keeps his job. That's it. I don't think he has to go out there and throws 40-yard bomb touchdown passes. His floor will determine whether or not he keeps his job. I don't know the ceiling for Robbie Ashford yet because he's in a brand new offense. He's going to be pro style. He's going to be under center. Those are adjustments that need to be made. I mean, those are adjustments that we saw, like I said, Bo had to make, and it was rough for him early. So I'm not saying that Robbie has to look as bad as Bo did early last year. What I'm saying is that what you are asked to read, diagnose, and react to, he's got to get good at that. TJ's got a leg up on him in that sense. Calzada's interesting because it's so interesting to me that, yes, you ran a pro-style system. You had a lot more things going for you in that system last year, and you still never looked great. So it has me wondering, all right, Zach Calzada, well, what's your ceiling? We know that your deep pass is great because you got the arm. We know that physically you are going to stand in that pocket and take a hit, and I think that's a plus as well. However, I saw you skip some passes too. I saw you look a little shaky and on some easy throws as well, similar to what TJ's downside is or has been to this point, I think it's going to be determined by Robbie Ashford's ceiling. That's really it. If his ceiling is making the proper reads and diagnosing and reacting and making good throws, everybody else can sit down, because you can't have that athleticism and be accurate and make good decisions. I mean, that's the golden quarterback, right? Athleticism, be accurate, make good decisions. That's it. You're QB1 no matter where you at. That's it. TJ Finley doesn't have the athleticism, so even if he's reading well and making good decisions and accurate, yeah, but if you break out a 30-yard run when it looks like you were sacked in the backfield, well, that's a disadvantage in this sense. Same with Zach Calzada. He's willing to run, but do you look like Robbie Ashford look? Are you going to just skip some passes now and then? Robbie Ashford shoring up all those things will make him the clear front runner, and I think the A-Day Offensive MVP award was kind of like all right, so he's here for real. He's not just here on the roster to make everybody else play harder. Dude is here for real. I hope his ceiling is as high as we would like to see from our number one quarterback. And not because I don't want those other guys to play. I want the guy with the most versatility. I want the guy with the highest ceiling. Yeah, I want somebody who can re-diagnose and throw the out consistently every time to his left side if it's not his preferred side. But I also want the guy who can scramble like hell and make a dynamic play when it looks like everything else will shut down, because sometimes defenses are going to have your number. Coach is going to call a play. You would have made the throw. Look, they jumped the route. You can't make that throw. What are you going to do? I'm going to scramble for 25 yards, make two dudes miss, and then get up and do the first down signal. And the crowd is hyped. The whole fan base is hyped. The whole team is hyped because you dug us out of a bad play simply with your athleticism. There's one guy on this roster who can do that. That's Robbie Ashford, and that's why I'm hoping he shows the coaches everything they need to see for him to be QB1 in the fall.
Ike, I'm going to get your thoughts after this, but we do have a question from one of our commenters here. Elliot wants to know, how do I become a member of the War Report?
Hey, Elliot, listen, if you're on an iPhone, you won't see the join button on our YouTube homepage, but sign in from a computer, you'll see that join button, and your membership perks will transfer over to your iPhone as long as you're logged in with the same credentials. So find yourself a computer. I know we're all carrying around computers in our pocket these days, but there are some limitations on the YouTube app for people using iPhones.
Yeah. Well, we're going to continue this conversation because there are indeed some people who impressed and had a good spring scrimmage. We'll talk more about them after the break, but guys, we need you to do us a favor. We need you, if you haven't already, to smash that like button to get our engagement up and show us some love. We will greatly appreciate that. And with that, we acknowledge the sponsors of the War Report.
The War Report's Weekend Tailgate Show is brought to you by our generous sponsors. University Ace Hardware, located at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, right across the street from the Auburn Mall and next to the movie theater. For all of your hardware needs, Ace is the place. auburnsports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn sports, head over to auburnsports.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Hey, listen, we just told our friend there, become a member. Do exactly what I just told him. Become a member. $5.99 will get you there. So become a member of the War Report. It's a great way to support our content. We are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to raise money for a good cause. So go to our About channel, hit that donate button. 50 cents on every dollar you donate will go to them to help them in their mission to save all the puppies. We're giving away a t-shirt today. So hashtag get your weight up in the comments. This is brought to you by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. That's our guy Walt Taylor in the comments sponsoring all these giveaways. We're going to give it away at the hour mark. So in 30 minutes, we'll give that away. You got to be here to win. If you don't win, you can just go to our website and buy something. So not just that AU t-shirt, but lots of fly gear, Ike designs all this stuff, guys. Go there. That's a great way to support our content as well. We're on podcast, every single podcast platform there is. So we're doing podcast exclusive content now. So if you want even more of the War Report, but in audio form, you can subscribe to us on podcast, download, leave a review, let them know that the War Report is producing all the content you want to hear. Caesar, before we move on, I just want to address something B said, because I strongly disagree, and I think it's feeding this narrative that you have to be mobile to have a high ceiling, and fans are falling in love with this idea that mobile quarterbacks provide. You can beat a defense just as effectively with pre-snap reads and quick decisions as you can with your legs, and the disadvantage that a lot of mobile quarterbacks have is over depending on their athleticism rather than making the proper reads and thinking that you can run away from all these 4 or 5 linebackers in our league. You can't do it. You can't. Now, the guy who won the Heisman last year has that mobility. And we saw him get sacked a record amount of times. It took a Herculean effort from him to do it, and that was playing behind one of the worst pass protecting offensive lines in our league. I thought what he did was really impressive. That's generational talent, though. So do I think Robbie Ashford is generational talent? Yet to be seen. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I would caution everybody into thinking that mobile is better just because, right? Like, you don't have, we saw guys do it in our league last year, guys like Will Rogers, who just, you're not going to get the opportunity to sack him most of the time because he's just getting the ball out of his hands too fast. So there are other ways to beat a defense when a play breaks down other than just running out of the pocket. Now, I want everybody to caution that. So that's the main reason people are lining up against TJ Finley starting, because they think that when a play breaks down, he has no options. He does have options, actually. Get the ball out of your hands fast, make good pre-snap reads, and if they're actually teaching him how to play quarterback, a great quarterback is on his second read sometimes before the ball is snapped. And when you have a quarterback that can do that, the defense doesn't know what hits them. So, I mean, again, I'm going to fight this narrative until the season starts. I don't know how TJ will do, but I know his ceiling isn't limited by his lack of athleticism. If anything, it will be limited by his understanding and knowledge of the game, but not because he can't run, man. We like, there are quarterbacks who can have done it at a super high level, at a Heisman level, without running. You don't need to be able to do it to be a great quarterback in this league.
I think. Let me add this. B, I'll let you respond real quick.
Okay.
Do you think this is coming? And this is a great point by Uzi. I think fans are used to, number one, having a mobile QB, and number two, complain or just going with the belief that our O-line is going to be subpar, right? It's almost like this is what we need to address problem number two. Is that a part of it?
Just look at what happened last year, right? Mobile wasn't better. We had the fourth best pass protecting offensive line in our league, and our quarterback could run. But instead of sitting in the pocket and going through his reads, he bailed out way too much. And then everybody blamed the O-line for not pass protecting. I'm like, what? He just left a clean pocket. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows what it looks like because we've never really seen it. The last quarterback we had that would actually sit in the pocket and play quarterback was Jarrett Stidham. He took a ton of sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And still did really well, considering he was playing in a Gus offense that wasn't really designed for him.
I think he has the best passing season for an Auburn quarterback. I don't want to say in history, but it was up there.
Yeah, he had a great deep ball. He made good decisions for the most part, but he took sacks. There's nothing wrong with taking sacks every once in a while. You know, well, if you can step up the next play and just make the right play the next play. And then, guys, everybody else does their part as well. Like, you know, I don't know, man. When we're talking about a quarterback making something happen when the play breaks down, it's lulling people into this thing where, you know, everyone thinks it's all on the quarterback, right? TJ's almost sack yesterday, if you read the comments, was all on him. Like, what? I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm not totally disagreeing that it's nice to have a guy who's a total package that can run and be accurate and do all those things. But that's not the only way to have a super high ceiling. And the guy, I would argue that the guy who can pick apart a defense with his mind has a much higher ceiling than the guy who can do it with his legs.
Stuart Donald still got you, B. Stuart Donald says, I feel very confident either TJ or Zach will be the starter in 2022. I'm just as confident the 2023 starter will be one of the younger guys. Not a bad comment there. But what would you say in response to that, B?
Well, in response, I would say that my criteria for the difference between these three quarterbacks was that any one of them would have to have met the requirements that you can read, diagnose, and react properly. So I do agree with Mike in that a very athletic quarterback, they do out of high school because they are asked or allowed to rely on their athleticism, because in high school you can out athlete guys across from you, and they do it right on to state championships. And whether or not you're accurate throwing the ball or consistent throwing the ball doesn't really matter. But that's not what my criteria was. Whoever is going to get the starting job has to be able to read, diagnose, and react properly, because Harsin is going to make sure you're doing that if you even get on the field as a starter. That's number one. So in Mike's, what he's saying is, yeah, whoever makes that flashiest play is not the best option for us, and I agree with that. But what I'm saying is Robbie Ashford wouldn't get out there as a starting quarterback unless he was already equipped to read, diagnose, and react as well as or better than the other guys who were in the QB room. So in that case,
put Bo out there.
Bo got better though. And again, I had to eat some crow about that last year. I was like, I wouldn't keep starting Bo after Georgia. Georgia State was my line. Y'all know that. After that Georgia State game, I was like, nah, that's it. I don't want to see no more. However, they stuck with him and Shedrick, and both of those guys got considerably better.
And you kind of, as history shows us, you kind of didn't have a lot of options behind Bo either. So you kind of had to work with what you had. So
that's true. That's true. But he got better. So, if they see it and they're saying, listen, I think you can get this, and they put him back out there even after he looks bad, then that means at the bare minimum, mentally, these players are meeting the requirements that the coaches are setting before them, because they think, all right, I know that you get this. Now let's put you back out there so you can show it. Nobody who goes out there as our starter is going to not be able to mentally grasp what the coaches want them to do on the field. So in that circumstance, Robbie Ashford's athleticism is the difference if all of that is the same across them. But I do understand what Mike's saying. Run fast, make big play, fans get excited. Now that's who they want, and he's the best player ever. That's not the case. I agree that doesn't mean that guy is the best for us. But I don't think that's what we're looking at with Ashford. I don't think he would see the field if the only thing he could do well was scramble and make big plays with his legs.
My point is just on the other end of the spectrum. Again, fans falling into the trap of thinking because a guy cannot do that, his ceiling is too low to be our quarterback.
Right.
Because he cannot run away like Robbie Ashford can, that his ceiling is too low. It's not requisite. And what I would like to see from Ashford is that he plays the game that way and really only relies on his athleticism when absolutely necessary, or when it's clearly the right decision. If he's making quick decisions to run and it's the right read, great. If he could diagnose that quickly, just the way you diagnose and say, number one's not there, you say, hey, they're in the defense. The middle of the field is going to be wide open. I'm running this ball, and that's the right decision. I'm good with it, right? TJ Finley, he's got to be able to, because he's not as fast, he's got to be able to do that faster. When he's going to run with the ball, he's got to make quick decisions to run with the ball. And it's got to be the right decision. The same way that he's making, because we saw it at times last year where, when the hole opens up, he does not have the quickness to wait when that hole is there. He's got to hit it.
Yeah.
He's got to hit it. So, I mean, his margin for error is smaller because he is not as athletic as some of the other quarterbacks. But there are multiple ways for a guy to play at a high level, I guess, is just my point, right? So I wasn't necessarily disagreeing with anything B was saying. I was just saying, like, hey, there's more than one way to skin a cat if you do something extremely exceptional.
Right.
I'd rather it be with your mind.
And I want to get Ike's take on this because Ike's been talking with his facial expressions throughout this.
I'm just reading comments and I'm just like, yo,
Okay.
y'all are saying some wild stuff in the comments, bro. Like, it's just like, whoa,
okay, fair
man.
enough. But Mike, I understand where Mike's coming from because Mike has one of his talking points when he earned this reputation for being a bow basher is that he referenced Kyle Trask a lot at Florida. And how Kyle Trask wasn't really a mobile QB back there, but he was carving up defenses because he was reading them pre-snap and knew where to go with the ball. Yeah. And I think that's what Mike is talking about is that you don't just because you're not athletic or can run or can razzle dazzle us with your feet doesn't mean that you're not deadly to opposing defenses.
And they had no run game. They were one-dimensional.
Right.
Florida also had zero run game. So
2 NFL pass catchers on that roster too.
Yeah, but defenses could line up and tee off on Trask,
and
understanding that there was no threat of the run.
He got sacked a lot.
He got sacked a lot, man. And he came 6 points. That was one of the better SEC championship games I've watched. Yeah. He came 6 points from beating Bama in that game. I mean, he still put up. I forgot what the final score was. It was like 46-52 or something like that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
I mean, they put up over 40 points in a one-dimensional offense. So I get it. He did have Kyle Pitts and some of those guys around him. But I was a big fan of his game. I thought he was super underrated. The Bucks thought enough of him to draft him in like the third round.
Yeah,
I think it was a second or third round pick. I think if we got that kind of production from a QB, a Kyle Trask type, Auburn's in contention every year. Can Calzada be that guy? Can Robbie Ashford? Can TJ Finley be that guy? TBD. But I'm open to seeing multiple. I'm open to multiple ways this could look depending on who's the guy. I guess is what I'm saying. I'm not enamored with having a running guy.
Gotcha. I'm gonna pose this one for you, Bay Lyman. Appreciate you, man, for watching. Appreciate the super chat. Thanks for the tickets. Had a good time. We're glad you enjoyed yourself, Bay Lyman, man. Awesome. I think Calzada will be the starter. He says wide receivers had to make adjustments to all passes except Calzada's, and I'm assuming you're talking in warmups.
Yeah, because
because there was some good passes during the game.
I mean, he said adjustment. He didn't say every pass, but I don't even what passes from Calzada are you referencing? Because Calzada didn't play yesterday, so
because he had been talking warm-ups or what he saw prior to the game, but I don't know if you had a thought on that or not, Ike. Jaquan Grant is asking, Mike, you want TJ to start, bro?
I want the best guy to start.
Like I don't know why. This is one of those comments where I was like, what does making a statement about TJ not being out of the QB race, how does that automatically say you want him to start? I don't care what the name is on the back of the jersey of the starter. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say this, and I know they asked Mike. But good Lord, who cares what the name is on the back of that jersey? Is it the best guy playing at that position?
Right.
That's all I care about. And automatically eliminating TJ because you don't want him to be the starter is a poor place to begin the conversation. Yeah. You have to start the conversation on level ground. Who do you think performs the best? Okay, then we can make an evaluation of their performance, and based upon that, you can throw in tangibles and intangibles. But just saying, do you want TJ to be the starter? If TJ's the best quarterback, then yes. If he's not, then no. I don't know. That's a very simple kind of conversation to have.
Yeah.
Who's the best guy for the job? That's the guy I want to start.
I'm just not writing him off the way a lot of people have just already written him off.
And based upon yesterday, how can you write him off? He didn't have a bad game, people. I'm sorry. I know you wanted him to have a terrible game so you could come on here and say how awful TJ is and he ain't the guy. He did not have a bad game. Sorry to ruin your fantasy of that.
Yeah, if the two deep balls that he threw that were perfect, by the way, get caught, he had the best game of anybody.
Let's evaluate.
I've heard nobody talk about that pass to Dawson.
Let's evaluate the reality of all of this, right? Because these are the things that I keep hearing from people that are, for whatever reason, only applicable to one person when you're making the evaluation. Number one is accuracy issues. Let's be clear. 3 quarterbacks played yesterday. All 3 of them had ball placement issues. Every last one of them. Robbie Ashford.
Even Holden?
Hold on. Yes. Listen, Robbie Ashford, love him to death. The first pass that he threw to Xavion Capers was well behind him.
Yeah, it was behind.
Xavion Capers made an amazing catch. It was a bad throw. Every time he threw an out route to his left, it was well behind the receiver. Every single time. That doesn't mean he had a bad game. We have to stop making predeterminations on what we want to see from somebody and then using that as our determination on whether it was good or bad. It was shaky no matter who the quarterback was in there. Holden Garner, a couple of them throws that he made, he had predetermined who he was going to. He was going to throw the darn ball. So what? Oh God, what was the tight end's name? He hit him like 3 times in a row.
Frazier.
Yeah, Brent. He was predetermined. He was going to Brendan Frazier. Every one of those, the second or third one of those, he probably shouldn't have thrown. The 2-point conversion, not a great throw. Stop pretending like TJ was the only one who had poor placement on throws.
Yeah, and let's be clear. Even the touchdown pass could have been more on the back shoulder. That was a better catch than it was.
That wasn't a good throw. That was a great catch.
That was a better catch than it was a throw.
So again, and this is not me trying to make excuses for TJ. I'm just saying everything people are saying about TJ is applicable to literally every quarterback.
Else.
Yeah. So am I saying we have work to do at the quarterback position? 100%. Am I saying TJ was the best one out there? Absolutely not. What I'm saying is it's actually a race, and we have to stop pretending as if we figured out, we know who it needs to be because one guy's got wheels.
If anything, the coaches told you how they felt about him by not sending him out for any snaps after the halftime. Right. So there's going to be a lot of upset people in the fall, I think.
For sure.
If you've already written TJ off. So
here's the other thing that I want people to stop saying is that TJ holds the ball too long. TJ was literally the only one willing to get past his first read before he did something. Yes, his clock was not going as quickly as you might want it to be, and he would have taken a couple of sacks, but he's the only one who delivered a pass that traveled in the air longer than 20 yards because he was willing to do that. Everybody else was taking the quick underneath stuff, which again, that's not bad stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make an honest evaluation of quarterback play, you have to be honest first. You're not being honest. You're being intellectually dishonest when you just start nitpicking the things you don't like about a person before you make your evaluation. And then you're waiting to see. It's a confirmation bias. See, look, he can't do that. It's like, that's not even true. Everybody's like, oh, his deep ball is inaccurate. How? Did you see the throw to Malcolm Johnson?
Spot on.
Did you see the throw to Tank? Did you see the throw to how is he inaccurate deep when of the 5 deep balls he threw, 3 of them were perfect, not pretty good, not man, that was deep, perfect.
Yeah.
He threw 2 bad ones, but 3 of 5 being perfect is pretty decent.
Yeah, he was really the only quarterback that tested the receivers down the field, the defense.
I just don't understand coming in with your own decision before you see them play and then applying that decision to the play. And then you throw out those same things for the other people. Show me a throw from Holden, because everybody was like, oh, I love Holden Garrett. I love her. I'm not against Holden Garrett. I know it feels like I'm being negative, but I just have to bring balance to this. Show me a throw from Holden Garrett where you were like, yo, that was amazing. There wasn't one. They were all good. Well, they were all, but a couple of them were good, but none of them were amazing. I wasn't amazed by anything I saw from Holden. I saw, okay, that was pretty good. He's a freshman making good decisions and
amazing
quick
catch
throws.
by Landon King.
But there was
really
nothing. But now, can I say, show me an amazing throw TJ made? Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 of them. Show me the amazing throw that Robbie Ashford made. There was some pretty good stuff that Robbie did. I don't know that I saw amazing out of him.
Right.
So again, I get it. The disparity between amazing and, oh my God, that was awful is the problem with TJ Finley.
Right.
Is that the floor of what you see from him is like an airmailed, definitely should have been caught interception.
So that's where that was going to be my next thing. was the airmail ball over the middle is a play that a third-year quarterback absolutely cannot make.
But again, TJ Finley really is a second-year quarterback. I need everybody to remember
Yeah.
his game
Right,
reps.
right.
He doesn't even have a full. I understand how old he is. I'm talking about experience in games. He doesn't have that much more than everybody. He has more than everybody else. He doesn't have that much more. So yes, his floor. If you're evaluating so this is an objective measure. Evaluate everyone's floor. Okay. Who has the lowest floor? If your answer to that question is TJ, I don't know what you're looking at. I just don't know, because again, athleticism and being able to run is not necessarily about quarterback play.
Right.
I'm talking about the ability to deliver a ball from the pocket. The vast majority of the throws that you saw from Ashford, he wasn't like really operating from the pocket. He took off running a lot more than he should have in this game. And we're gonna please, if you're not a patron, please go ahead and make that happen so we can watch the film together, because I promise you we're gonna look at all of this. But the evaluations that people are throwing out here are just so unfair, based upon the fact that you have predetermined what you want to be the outcome, and then you're applying that determination to what you see, as opposed to the other way around. And that can't be how you evaluate play. It can't be.
No.
That can't be how Harsin does it, right?
Right.
Can't.
Well, he's clearly not, though. And that's
Well,
my thing. Is so
right. Like Carson can't think like us.
He's clearly not thinking that way, which is why I think there are going to be a lot of upset people in the fall if they've already decided they don't want TJ Finley. I'm like, all right, I'm preparing myself. Listen, let's come to Jesus here for a second. Before last season, I had prepared myself mentally for a whole year of Bo. I was like, all right, here we go. Like, I know what Bo's ceiling is, but as we keep saying, this has become a War Report theme. It was he able to raise his floor? By the time we got to Texas A&M, we found out Bo's floor was still pretty low.
Right.
Like the okay was like LSU. That was okay. 50-something% passing, but, did some amazing things, and we won the game against the worst pass defense in the league. But, and then Arkansas was his ceiling. Right. Insanely accurate. Only one bad throw that was a pick. But
Right.
But if you look at the totality of the rest of his decisions during that game, it was pretty close to the perfect game.
Right.
And we are just trying to say, all my hope for Bo, because he was the starter, was only that he was a little closer to Arkansas and a little less close to LSU and Georgia State and Texas A&M. That's it. We needed to just be a little further from those worst performances and a little closer to those best performances. Mm-hmm. And the season looks differently. And TJ is not even challenging you at all. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm applying that same standard to these quarterbacks. If you're TJ Finley in a critical game, you cannot do what you did at A-Day in that pass that should have been picked off.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was
I'm sorry. Fourth year, second year, first year, negative 3 years. Yeah, you can't do that, man. Yeah. You can't.
Right.
So people who have that criticism of him, totally fair. Just make sure you're applying that to every quarterback.
And that's all I ask. Just apply the same standard across the board. That's it.
So I'm not like, I think that there's something to like about all these quarterbacks. Listen, there was a lot to like about Bo. Most of the quarterbacks that we've had start here, there was something to like about them.
Sure.
And we just wanted to see more of that stuff than we did the other stuff.
Right.
And when a quarterback gets to his third year, now I get what Ike is saying about how TJ is technically barely like a second-year quarterback. No spring at LSU year one in a COVID year. Got thrown in a couple games into the season after Brennan got hurt. So they had decided that he needed more development, and there was a better guy in year one at LSU. Now looking back on it, their program was falling apart. Orgeron got essentially resigned in disgrace. And then he comes in, and we're changing systems and quarterbacks and coaches as well too.
Right.
So you got a guy, he comes in after the summer, no spring here either.
Right.
And he's still trying to figure it out. Now, the totality of all that is that now I feel like in this year, none of that can any longer be an excuse. You've had a full year in the spring at Auburn.
Sure.
Right.
Bro, you got to go out there and you have to do it.
Yeah, his leash has got to be short this
Shorter,
year.
yeah. And if he cannot, I think the leash should be, they got to be able to pull the plug before the season becomes a disaster.
Right.
And you can
have,
now.
before you have a Georgia State, we better see Ashford or Calzada if TJ wins the job. That's where I'm drawing the line. If he starts, I'm going to hope that he does as good as he can do, just like I did for Bo last year. Once it starts to go south, I'm hoping that we just don't decide this is the hill we're going to die on for a whole season. I don't think that Harsin can afford to do that.
Right.
This year. I think he knows it, which is why Ashford got so many. He wants as many options as he can, just in case for next year. So that's where I'm at about it. It's not that I'm a TJ guy. I'm preparing myself for the reality that it could be any of these guys. And no matter who starts, I'm going to find a way to cheer for whoever's out there. I'm not going to watch the games thinking, oh, here he goes. He's going to blah, blah, blah. I didn't do that when Bo went out there. I'm not doing it when any of these other guys go out there.
I did.
I did do it. I mean,
2 years of the exact same floor, and then we come in and we see signs of the same floor in year 3. It's like that's what will be discouraging if TJ were to get the start. It's like, all right, we saw, here's what your floor looks like, and it's a little too low. We saw it in the 3 games that you started. We saw a little bit of it in the spring game. Fall, that's it. I don't want to see any more of that. That floor has to be raised now. Like you said, we don't have a lot of time. And honestly, it's a little unfair because Bo Nix did get 2 years to have this low floor and a couple of high highs. And then he still gets a shot to come out here in year 3 and make some of the same mistakes and really low floor and still continue to be the starter. Yeah. I get why that's not fair to TJ. But unfortunately, we don't have 2 seasons to burn.
Well, really and truly, yeah, it's unfair, but no one should get that type of no one should get that type of grace.
Nobody should get that type of leash. Like this, no, man. You don't get to be mediocre for 2 years.
Got it. TJ should get it. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying,
for sure.
Listen,
I would.
Yeah, I'm not saying that at all. Yeah. Because Bo did this, TJ should get it. No. I'm just saying that he has not even gotten what Bo got just yet.
Not even remotely close.
Not even close. No. Right. Yeah.
But again, like, and I've said this before, Mike said that I think if you had a lot of leash for Bo and you have none for TJ, I just don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah. That's it.
I know. But we'll talk about that off the air.
Yeah, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, I get everybody's concern. I want to validate everybody's concerns about TJ Finley's game. I'm not saying that his lack of athleticism isn't a problem at all. That's not what I'm saying. I just think that there's another way to look at his game and find positives that he can use in spite of that.
Right.
The same way that we're going to have to do it for these other quarterbacks as well, too.
Right.
Listen, guys, if Calzada wins this job, he was a 50-something% passer last year at Texas A&M. Like 55%.
Yeah.
Now, he played, again, the least that I'm giving him, I'm not just looking at the percentages, he played behind one of the worst pass-protecting O-lines in the league last year. Texas A&M replaced their entire line before that season.
Right.
And the fact that he did any of what he did was somewhat amazing. But there are still clear holes in his game that I'm just kind of like, all right, well, I could see an Auburn offense under Harsin, and this is what I love about this coaching switch. I can see a version of this offense where all 3 of those guys could be effective. I couldn't say that with the last coach.
Right.
If Gus is our coach, I don't see a world where TJ has a shot.
He wouldn't even come here.
You know, there you go.
And I think that's some I think that's some of the
go.
bias that maybe the fans have is because you're so used to looking at it one way, like and maybe in Gus's world, I'm not sure I see where Robbie has a shot either, depending on who the number 1 guy is. It just feels like all these guys have a chance. And for the first time, I feel like the quarterback, the coach is evaluating all the quarterback strengths and weaknesses to make a decision about who the best guy is for the job. And then developing a contingency so that if that guy doesn't work out, there is a secondary plan in place kind of based around what that guy's strengths and weaknesses are. It feels like for the first time we have multiple contingencies. That's why I'm not going to be super worried if TJ wins the job. I'm just not, because I think that we can, if he doesn't work out, they'll have something else in place that will work.
And that was the point I made yesterday. I don't remember the last time we left spring with 3 guys that if they won the starting job, I would be okay with. Right? It's usually like Mike's point, we've been led to believe it was this guy and he's being pushed by these guys. And then when we see QB2 comes out, we're like, whoa, he's pushing who?
Right.
But
I
now
feel good about all these guys to some extent.
I feel good about them all. Yeah. And like, that's something I have not been able to say. So that in and of itself is something to be kind of excited about. We're actually going to have a real competition in the fall. How about that?
Yeah.
So let's grab some of these super chats. We'll get to the giveaway. Stewart says, if TJ played against Bama, South Carolina, or Houston the way he played yesterday, we end the season with 3 straight wins. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. If the receivers catch the ball, if they drop it like they did, then maybe not.
I maintain we still should have won that Bama game. But whatever.
He had his flaws last year, certainly. I think, and I think he knows it. If you asked him, he would tell you as much. I saw Lisa talking about his, in the comments, Lisa was mentioning that inconsistencies, right? When we interviewed TJ Finley, he told us that.
Yeah.
He said that. So he's hyper aware, man. He knows he needs to be more consistent. I like that he's aware of that.
Bryson says, can I just have Grant Lloyd back, please? And yes, the only reason I'm doing this is because Ike is
yeah. No, Bryson.
Now, see the look on his face. It has to be worth it now, Bryson. You have to be worth it now. Justin Paul, appreciate you, says Mike. You're nuts. Brady, Manning, Montana, Marino,
clearly.
All running machine. Jeez, what is this quick decision?
Have you watched Brady run? It is painful, man. Like watching Tom Brady run.
I remember seeing Manning run.
Sometimes,
Peyton Manning run looked like a Frankenstein robot.
There are games where Brady would run for a first down and he would slide and he would get up like he just juke the whole defense. And I'm like, man, you'll sit your slow ass down. He's slow as hell.
Oh man, Brian Handler says, I think Ike Hilliard can help the receivers raise the floor of the starting QB, whoever it is.
I thought the receivers looked pretty good yesterday. Listen, Xavier Capers, I might. Now I know I'm a big Malcolm Johnson guy, but if I had a 1B, it'd have been Xavier Capers. Looks like a guy who is going to start in the fall.
Yeah,
the throw.
He looked good.
Yeah, the throw that Robbie Ashford made to him that was behind. No excuse. I mean, he caught that like I don't know. It just looked like natural to him to just catch it and then still try to get upfield.
Is that our new? He's such a natural receiver. Come on, where's Blackerby when you need it?
Blackerby locked on Auburn. Yeah. I love the way he did. He looked like a natural wide receiver in that moment.
He made the some passes are bad, but he didn't make it look like a bad pass. The way he caught it and kept moving in stride with it, he made it look like not.
I've always liked Capers, man. He just hadn't put it all together. Hopefully, he figures out how to do the little things a little bit better as far as like what they're asking him to do on the play, and not just like if he's a guy. If you're playing pickup ball, Capers is great, but I just need him to understand his role on a play in the offense and execute that a little bit better. But I think he's, from all accounts, he's willing to put in the work and understand and look at the film and try to figure that stuff out. His physical giftings are not the issue, and he I think he'll get there.
Yeah, Justin Park, man, you keep dropping these $400 super chats. We're gonna have to give you your own segment too. You're approaching sponsor territory here with these super chats.
Listen, let's go ahead and get to the giveaway. In case you guys don't know what we're giving away, we are giving away an AU t-shirt. So if you haven't already, dropped the hashtag in the comments to do that. If you want to enter to win, please do that. Let's go. How are we looking like?
We got 45 people that have entered, which is, hey, listen, I'm not waiting. I told y'all I'm not doing this waiting to see if anybody else wants to jump in. If you want a shirt, you would have put the thing in there. So that sounds awful. Pause. All right, go.
Lisa's name. Where's Lisa's name?
Lance Bailey. Lance Bailey, where you at? You have to have your name in the comments after we do this drawing in order to get this here thing. So you guys can get your weight up in the comments. If Lance doesn't show up, then we'll draw again. But for now, Lance, you are the winner until we see your name. Otherwise, we'll draw again. All right.
We'll continue to look and see if he shows up, because we need to take time to shout out our. He's there.
Hey,
here.
Hey.
All right. Well, Lance, here's what we need you to do, sir. We need you to enter in or email business@thewarreport. There you provide your physical address as well as your shirt size, and we will send that to you. Also, your name. You don't have to tell us what your name. Your name is your name. But yes, let us know your physical address and your shirt size.
Album, by the way, my name is my name. Anyway, sorry.
Oh yeah. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations. Let's take time before we get into talking about other people, because other people played in the spring game other than the QBs, right?
What? Yeah.
You're right. Right. Other people participated. So before we do that, let's acknowledge a show sponsor or the sponsor of the War Report, RogueShop.com.
This segment of the War Report is brought to you in part by RogueShop.com.
If you're in need of high-quality, all-natural herbs and extracts that contribute to a happy, healthy lifestyle, the Rogue Shop is the place for you. With a variety of products that contribute to a healthy sleep, lower stress, and a happy mood, the Rogue Shop has you covered. Visit them at therogueshop.com and use code REPORT today. Tell them the War Report sent you.
Shouts out to them.
Yes, RogueShop.com. Use code REPORT, 10% off. They're great sponsors of ours. We appreciate them. Please go support their business by ordering something. They got a little something for everybody over there at the Rogue Shop. So really good stuff over there.
Indeed. Let's talk about other people who stood out in this A-Day scrimmage. The tight ends looked really good, guys. Leading the pack or leading the way was Brandon Frazier, who had 5 receptions for 42 yards. Tyler Fromm had 3 receptions for 41. Shank had 2 receptions for 34. Luke Deal had a reception. The receivers looked pretty good in this. What would you make, Ike, of how the receivers fared in yesterday's scrimmage?
It wasn't bad. I mean, there were, of course, drops that happened out there, but I don't think anybody was just in the wrong places. I think that receivers made plays for their quarterbacks, right? They made, some of those stat lines look a little better because of catches that they made. Yeah. And I think that our receivers, we didn't get an opportunity to see a lot of like blocks that they would have made because there weren't a lot of outside runs. There was a couple of speed sweeps that happened out there. So there was a few. There was one of them was a clear hold that Malcolm Johnson speed sweep. But it wasn't a lot of blocking that you would have seen from the receivers. But overall, I did not dislike the receiver play yesterday. Malcolm Johnson, I think, had a really good game. I think he did all the things that you want a speed receiver to do in your team, minus the drop that he had. I thought Dawson had a good game. Shedrick only had 1 target, but he caught that one. Trying to think of other receivers that stood out to me when I was looking at it.
We were talking about Capers.
Capers, of course. But then, the tight ends. I think one of the things I liked about what we did in A-Day and hope to see it happen during the season is the 3 tight end formations that we rolled out there. The reason I like them a lot is because you've got, and I'm including Landon King in the 3 tight end formation, but they would put him out there in a jumbo package with 2 other tight ends, but then they would split 2 of them out. Like Shanker would be out there split out, Landon King would be split out. Then you've got a tight, but that's essentially 3 tight ends.
Mhm.
You know, I got to give props to Shanker for the Shanker shake. Man, he put somebody in the dirt yesterday when he made the little outside move.
Yeah.
Shanker shake.
Yeah, he looked good, man. Like this is the first offseason that Shanker has not been trying to be a 2-sport guy, right? Like he was
Right.
doing baseball typically during the spring game. And so he devoted to football, and you can his body looks different, man. Like Shanker looks like a different player right now. But he's as sure-handed as they come. He's a good blocker. He's going to be an asset in this. I like the way that they employ the tight ends during the spring game. If we see that during the fall and we go to these heavy tight end looks with the 3 tight end packages, that means defenses really have no clue what we're going to throw at them because those tight ends can catch.
Right.
And they've got enough speed with Landon King to be able to, like, you get him matched up on, he can match up and play against the DB, right? So it's like, it's not as if that's a mismatch for you. And you definitely don't want to see these other guys against a linebacker or a safety. So that's just going to put, like, they're going to be weird personnel groupings that are going to have to try to match up with that if those guys can solidify themselves as blockers just as good. But I loved seeing that stuff. So
yeah, Shanker was 47 last year, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was 47 last year. I was like, wait,
Yeah,
25? I think
year.
he's 25 this year.
Yeah.
I agree with everything Ike said. I think that the receiver play was encouraging. To me, it was very encouraging. Malcolm Johnson Jr. is clearly going to be a go-to guy. They're going to find the way to get Malcolm the ball. Using him on sweeps. Throwing the ball, on outs. I mean, I saw him all over the place making plays, throwing the ball to him deep. He got a variety of throws yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was encouraging. Capers is another guy. I'm just happy to see him take that next step because I thought this was a do or die year for him. If he wasn't going to do it this year, we were probably going to see him in the portal. It was really good. It was really good to see him step up there. If you're Dawson, man, that deep throw from TJ that you drop, right?
That would have been the highlight play, absent of the Landon King catch. That would have been the highlight play
of A-Day, right? And you dropped it, right? So if you're trying to show the coaches that in limited opportunities, when you get on the field, you're going to make an impact, you didn't help yourself there. That's it.
Right.
You have to be able to do it when called upon, and they have to know it, and they've got to see it in those moments when it matters. So I'm not writing him off. I think he's a kid with a ton of potential, but I do believe he's probably kicking himself that he didn't catch that ball.
I'm sure.
Outside of that, Landon King, just showing that he can be a guy that can go up and make a play for his quarterback. I thought that was a great adjustment, very athletic play over the DB, making the catch, coming down with the ball. Everything about that was special. And, Shedrick Jackson only got 1 target, but he caught it. And he went over the middle to catch it. And it looked good. So being able to know where to be for your quarterback and make a play with your hands there, I thought Shedrick looked good. So I'm encouraged about wide receiver play going into this year. It's crazy how when you get better quarterback play, suddenly the wide receivers all look better. Because everybody was so down on wide receivers last year, but when you have chemistry with your quarterbacks, suddenly a lot of them just look great. Now, Javarius Johnson was out yesterday.
Yeah.
So we still have talent that didn't see the field yesterday that will see the field in the fall.
And Brown isn't even on campus yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some guys who have a chance to come in and make an impact.
I'd be pretty sure that they're going to go get a transfer wide receiver too.
Didn't we get that kid from Arkansas State, Rucker?
I think he's. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought we were going out to get. I thought there was a guy that was committing.
We tried to get him, but no, he didn't come. Statement here from Peyton Full. Jay Fair looked pretty good in the little shine he got.
I think he caught 1 pass yesterday.
Yeah, he looks good though. I like what I saw.
I think he had two. I think he had 2 catches.
Yeah, I think I think he had 2 receptions yesterday.
Yeah. So
Payton
didn't
says
look.
Rucker went to South Carolina.
Yeah.
So
Rick also says wouldn't be surprised to see us having like what you're saying, Ike, special 3 tight end packages with Ashford if he doesn't win a starting job. 3rd and short could become a really interesting option.
Think about this. So regardless of who the quarterback is, think of 3rd and short with a 3 tight end package with Sean Jackson and some other running back also lined up in the backfield. Just let your mind marinate on the possibilities that could happen with seeing how well Sean Jackson caught the ball out of the backfield and thinking about like his potential of like lining up at like a fullback and they just turn around and hand it to him on a short yardage situation, right? Just think about it. Could be 3rd and short. We could have some interesting stuff we tried out there and try to do.
I was interesting with how he is so eager to get north when he gets the ball. Like he gets up and you know, I know he's not able to see a lot with our O-line considering a lot of people are out, but when he gets the ball, he ain't with the dancing. I'm getting north and I'm getting there as fast as I can.
Yeah.
So yeah, the idea of that, I said yesterday, I love the idea of him in short yardage situations, whether he's getting the ball or not. Like I like him in those situations just because of his physicality there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting to see how they employ the running backs. You know, when Jarquez Hunter gets back into the mix. Tank looked good out there doing, you know, normal Tank things. The run game was nothing to write home about. Like there was no like, oh my God, amazing run situation. But I don't think
a lot of passing with him.
But yeah, but they were showing a huge willingness to get the running backs involved in the pass game.
Yeah.
You know, Tank was split out as a wide receiver on that one play that we're talking about that he should have caught from TJ. He lined up as a receiver on that play. It wasn't like a wheel route. Like he just lined up out there. So again, they're showing the willingness to deploy our running backs in a lot of different ways. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this offense starts to the play calls that I think that Coach Harsin has at his disposal to be able to utilize with all the personnel that we have and how he chooses to deploy that stuff is going to be really interesting. Really interesting.
Thanks.
Mike, let's talk D-line. Dylan Brooks actually led the way with 5 tackles.
Yeah, I told y'all to keep an eye on Dylan. DB. He's not playing DB, but those are his initials. Dylan Brooks is a guy who has a chance to step up this year. He was highly recruited out of high school. We got him in the Tennessee McDonald's sweepstakes, and he's going to have a chance. They're going to rotate a lot of guys on defense. Defense is one of those things. It's so different on offense than it is on defense. On defense, even if you're not the starter, you will have a significant chance to impact the game, even if you're not the starter. So Dylan Brooks, regardless of whether he starts or not, he's going to get in some critical situations and show the coaches that he can be relied on if there is a significant injury or if a guy's not playing up to snuff. But I expect a lot from him this year. So having another tackle machine, listen, 5 tackles yesterday, we are losing the most prolific tackler in Auburn football history in Zacoby McClain. It's not even close. He was the most prolific tackler we've ever had. And not last year, but the year before, he led the NCAA in tackles. That guy just had a nose for the football. We need to replace that production on defense. I think Dylan Brooks is going to be a big part of us doing that. So super happy to see him get out there and play the way he did. Now, I didn't focus when we were watching the tape yesterday. I didn't focus that much on defense. Right. It's really easy to get lost in the offense when you're watching in real time. So when Ike and I go back and break down the film, we'll be sure to highlight him and talk about his play yesterday.
Ike, did you? And I don't know. Mike looks at it a little differently than we do. So maybe Ike took a peek over at the defense and who was doing what. Did one position that you pointed out that you wanted to keep an eye on that Mike mentioned with linebackers What did you see with that group on yesterday's scrimmage?
Linebacker play was good, man. They filled ineffectively. One of the things I really liked was, we talk about how much of a downhill runner Sean Jackson is. Wesley Steiner took on that matchup well. There was a collision. Yeah, it was a collision that happened, and Steiner stood him up. Man, I was like, oh, when he hit him, when he hit him, I was like, yo, who is that? And when I saw him pop up, I was like, okay, Steiner. Like, listen, man, if you're bringing down, I mean, it was 1-on-1 too. It wasn't like one of those situations because again, Sean Jackson's not dancing. He's coming.
Right.
He's trying to hit it full force, and Steiner just met him right there in the hole and was like, "Nah, bro, that's it. You get this 1 yard. We're done." I was like, "Okay." I like it.
Is it seem like he's no longer thinking? Does it seem like
he is playing a little more instinctively? I think. Again, it's so hard to evaluate defensive play in spring games because you don't know, are they playing well because our offensive line is bad, or
they know what the play is?
Right. They're used to seeing these sets, so they kind of understand what they're seeing, right? Or is it like they're playing well? It's gonna be the first couple of games before you start to really tell. Are they analyzing properly? Are they seeing what they're supposed to see? But I did like what I saw out of a couple of the players, just from their just natural physical ability out there playing in space and doing what they're supposed to do.
I'm eager to see how Power Gordon. I know they want to get some weight on him.
He had a couple of tackles that was
all
right out there.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I'm interested to see how he will look in another year or so once he get in our strength and conditioning program. But he played rather well. Someone in the chat mentioned Cameron Brown having a good showing. Cam Riley, he played well as well. So for sure. Anybody stand out in secondary for you, Ike?
Not really. Like, that's the one place I wasn't looking a bunch. Like, I wasn't looking to see what the guys in the secondary were doing. I mean, there were some people who were.
Caleb Wooden played well downhill.
Caleb Wooden was so I will say Caleb Wooden was all over the field. Like, he is one of those guys where he has that just a nose for the football. He's just going to show up when you go look at film and look where the tackle is made. You're going to notice Caleb Wooden is either the guy jumping in second, first, whatever. He's going to be around the football often. Donovan Kaufman played okay. I liked what I saw out of Donovan Kaufman, other than the muff punt. The muff punt was, but listen, again, that wind was ridiculous out there. So it was just one of those hard to gauge situations. But I liked what I saw from Kaufman as far as one of the things that I think, for me was I didn't like about him last year that I'm hoping he's getting a little bit better at is him just kind of having a command of the defense and understanding not only where he needs to be, but where everyone else needs to be so that we can be lined up a little bit more quickly. So that whoever's going to be the guy back there, which Kaufman was the safety playing in the backfield a lot, needs to be able to have a command of making sure people understand what their assignments are. So hopefully Kaufman will be that guy for us.
Mike G, anybody else that we haven't talked about that stood out in this?
No, I think like I said, I got to go back and watch film. I've cut it. I cut the highlights, but I haven't done a deep dive yet on the film. So especially if you're talking about defense, it just takes a little bit more focused look at what those guys do. So again, if you're not a patron, become a patron member because we'll be breaking that down for our patron members in a lot more detail.
Well, guys, if we don't have anything else, man, let's go ahead and take us out, Mike.
Listen, I said it once, I'll say it again. Become a patron member, help support our content, guys. It's a great way to do this. Hit the join button on that YouTube front page. If you're on an iPhone, find yourself a computer, log in with the same credentials, become a patron. $5.99 a month. Great way to keep us going here at the War Report. We also want to keep the Lee County Humane Society going. So help us help them by going to the About section of our YouTube channel. Click the donate button. 50 cents on every dollar goes to them to help them #save all the puppies. If you didn't win the t-shirt today, like Lance did, you can just buy one. TheWarReport.com. Check us out there. We've got lots of great stuff other than that AU t-shirt. We've got tons of stuff there for you guys to check out. Support us by visiting our merchandise store. we're live on podcasts, doing podcast exclusive content. So check out all the content that we have going on there. Lots of great stuff over there for you guys, and some guests, some of the more popular Twitter personalities join us on the War Report podcast to talk about all things Auburn. So I appreciate it, our girl Brandy Mack, Auburn Memes, and Allie Davison that joins us from time to time to talk Auburn sports. I want to thank prizepicks.com for sponsoring the War Report. Go over to prizepicks.com. Use code REPORT to get 100% match. Still lots of ways to win over there. We are going into the NBA playoffs. So you can put lots of props up on player props up on Prize Picks and win some money over there. Prizepicks.com if you're into that. Check them out. Use code REPORT to get that 100% match and get a little bit more something down to win something in return. Last but not least, I want to thank our title sponsor, University Ace Hardware. Go check them out at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama. Right next to the movie theater. Ace Hardware been sponsoring the War Report all year long. We appreciate our guy David over there. He is a great community member and a wonderful sponsor. So thanks to Ace Hardware.
And some of you guys are already seeing in the comments section that we did pick up a second commitment of this upcoming 2023 recruiting class. 4-star safety Terrence Love, who's been high on Auburn, just committed. He's the second commit of the recruiting class.
Walt just texted me and said UGA offensive tackle Mims has left the program and is expected to enter the transfer portal after spring practice. He was a 5-star recruit and top 10 overall prospect in 2019 recruiting cycle. So might want to get him a call after the spring.
I mean, depending upon the reason why he wasn't playing at Georgia.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going on there. But thanks, Walt. Always keeping me up to date on portal happenings.
Shouts out to Walt. Guys, shout out to you for hanging out with us on a Sunday. We greatly appreciate you. Whether or not you're watching live or on replay, we just need you to do us a favor. If you have social media, share this video, guys. Share it using hashtag Get Your Weight Up. If you haven't smashed that like button, it's not too late to do that. Please hit the like button. If you're new to our channel, hit the subscribe. We go live twice a week. Maybe even hit you with a surprise live if news breaks. Also, guys, you can follow us on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at The War Report. We are TW Report on TikTok. That's it for now, guys. We will definitely catch you the rest of this or later in the week. Until then, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.